Some people measure wealth by what they have, but the greatest wealth is often measured by what they give. When love and compassion drive our actions, the smallest act can create ripples that change the world. Let me share with you a story. In a small, bustling town, there lived a woman named Elena. She wasn't rich by any measure. She lived in a modest one-room home, worked long shifts at a bakery, and barely made enough to cover rent and food. To most, her life seemed ordinary, almost invisible. But what set Elena apart was her heart. She believed that compassion was not something you waited to have extra of. It was something you gave even when you had little. Every morning, before heading to work, she would pass by the same alley where a homeless man, Asher, sat quietly. He never begged. He simply nodded and smiled at people who walked by. Most ignored him, some avoided eye contact, but Elena noticed something in his eyes, gratitude, even in silence. One chilly morning, Elena approached him with a warm loaf of bread from the bakery. "Here," she said softly, handing it over. "It's fresh. You'll like it." Asher's eyes widened. He held the bread as though it were treasure. "Thank you," he whispered. "You don't know how much this means." That small gesture began a routine. Almost every day, Elena saved part of her earnings to buy an extra loaf or a cup of hot tea for Asher. She didn't do it for recognition. She did it because it felt right. One evening, as she sat with him on the cold pavement, Asher opened up. "You know, years ago, I had everything, a family, a job, a home. But after my wife passed away, I lost myself. I lost everything. People stopped seeing me. But you make me feel human again." Elena's eyes filled with tears. She realized then that her bread wasn't just feeding his body, it was feeding his soul. Weeks passed. Her kindness didn't stop at Asher. She started noticing others too. A hungry child outside the market, an elderly woman struggling with heavy bags, a neighbor who couldn't afford medicine. She didn't have much, but she gave what she could: food, time, a listening ear, even her last coins. One day, her boss at the bakery overheard her telling a co-worker about helping Asher. Instead of scolding her for giving away food, he smiled. "Elena, from tomorrow, you take an extra basket of bread with you every evening. Give it to those who need it. No charge." Her heart leapt. Now she could help even more. The word spread. A few neighbors joined in, donating old clothes or cooking warm meals. Soon, what began as one woman's quiet act of compassion grew into a movement in the town. People began noticing those they had overlooked. Homeless men and women were given shelter, children were fed, and a community once divided by indifference was now united by kindness. But Elena's story didn't stop there. One winter night, Asher collapsed on the street. Elena rushed to him, calling for help. At the hospital, she stayed by his side for hours. The doctors managed to stabilize him. When he opened his eyes, the first thing he said was, "Why do you care so much? You don't even know me." Elena took his hand gently. "Because compassion doesn't ask for a reason. You matter. Every life matters." Months later, Asher recovered and, with support from the community, found work at a local shelter. He, too, began helping others, because someone had once helped him. Years passed, and Elena's small town became known for its spirit of giving. People who visited often remarked, "There's something different about this place. People truly care for one another." And it all started with one woman who believed in giving without limits. The moral of the story: compassion is contagious. When we give without expecting anything in return, we awaken the best in others. You don't have to be rich to be generous. You don't need abundance to make a difference. Even the smallest act of kindness can grow into a wave of change. The greatest legacy you can leave is not money or possessions. It's love and compassion shared with others. So, ask yourself today, who can you touch with kindness? If this story moved you, carry its lesson into your own life. And if you'd like to hear more stories of hope and humanity, consider liking this video, sharing it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribing for more motivational stories. Together, let's spread compassion. One story, one act of kindness at a time.